Here's one game that is definitely gonna start off our game nights. I'm gonna tell you why you should really consider getting Forever Home. And at the same time, I'm also gonna tell you one potential kind of problem that I'm actually really okay with. But first, let me go ahead and show you how this game works. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Wolf Pack. Thank you for joining me yet again for yet another board game review. And if you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing so we can grow the Wolf Pack or Dog Pack for today a little more. Now today's review video is not sponsored, but I was given Forever Home by Birdwood Games for today's review. So with that said, let's get started. Okay, you're working at a local animal shelter and you're trying to help dogs find their forever home. Your goal is to train puppies that come in and rehome them so that way you can become the #1 canine matchmaker. On your turn, you're gonna take 2 actions that you can actually repeat, and there are 3 possible actions. The first one is to take any color dog and then put them into your training grid. As soon as you take a dog, a brand new dog is gonna pop up from the bag. But wait, Tim, you have 25 spaces to choose from on your board. How do you know exactly where to put your dog? Well, that's where action number 2 comes in, which is to take a training card. You'll notice here how these cards all have a specific pattern. Like this one, for instance, says you have to have 2 dogs of the same color in a diagonal row, just 2 of them. So if I get a matching pattern that looks just like this with a 2x2 grid, this training card is going to instantly complete. What that means is the bottom right of the card is going to tell you how much reputation that you score. The most points or reputation by the end of the game will win. And the top left is how many dogs that you can rehome. In this case, it says 2 dogs to rehome, but you'll score 0 points. So because you can rehome multiple dogs at once, you can take the pattern that you just completed and then put these dogs into 1 out of 4 different homes. Let me tell you now, if you like games where you're planning multiple steps ahead, you're going to love this part right here. Observe. Because when you rehome your dogs, you're gonna take your dog tokens and then place them in a specific home. If you look at the 4 home cards up top, it's gonna tell you exactly which dogs favor which home. So for instance, let's look at the city first. So for the city, the rainbow means any color dog. So in this case, if you have any color dog, you will score 1 point here if you put 1 dog there. But then if you have multiple color dogs, then you can score all the way up to 9 points. Next up, suburbs. If you have an orange dog and a blue dog and a red dog, then you'll score 6 points. And then lastly, we have move 1 dog. So in case like we place one and we don't like the placement later on, we can always move it in any direction 1 space away. The game's over when someone finishes 7 of these training cards. So as you can imagine, it goes by pretty quick. I played this game at the 2-player count and we played 4 times last night, literally. And during those times, we finished each game in about 25 to 30 minutes. Now, the last question I wanted to answer about gameplay is, well, how do you score? Well, as soon as someone finishes those 7 cards, what you're gonna do is you're gonna count up all of your completed training cards. So again, you're gonna count up what's listed on the bottom right of all of your training cards and add all of those points together. The second thing you're gonna do is look at all of your homes and see which sets that you completed and add all those points together. The last thing that you're gonna add up are the commendations, which is this center board. So there are 3 conditions here. The first one says the most blank in training. So in this case, if a green dog is slotted here, then whoever has the most green dogs on their grid by the end of the game will score 3 points, and then same for red. The second condition says the most dogs rehomed, which means how many dogs of that particular color you have across all of your homes. So all the blue dogs, whoever has the most blue dogs in all their homes, will get the 3 points listed there. And then the last condition is the most dogs in different homes. So whoever has the most homes with orange dogs will score the respective amount of points. Okay, so for Forever Home, it's a really light game, but I love it. I would say my favorite part about this game is that there's this puzzle that you constantly have to think about and plan ahead for. And you also have to adapt to, especially with your player count. I feel like even though I only played at the 2-player count, you're gonna have to adapt a lot on your turn if we have more and more players, because then the choices for the dogs that pop up are gonna constantly change a lot faster, and same with the training cards that pop up in the row too. I also really like the scoring conditions. I feel like that's where the meat of the game lies, because your actions are simple and straightforward, but how you allocate and how you plan your actions to lead towards those endgame conditions, that right there is what keeps first player, like whoever's in the lead, a mystery, and that makes this game fun. You don't know who's really in the lead. Even though someone ended the game, even though someone scored a lot of points, you don't know who's in the lead till the very end, because with all of our games, I think our scores were like 1 to 2. We had one game where there was literally a 1-point difference, and the other games were like 3 to 4 point differences. So it's a very, very tight game. Now, the one issue that I mentioned in the very beginning that I thought I had was we were actually, I kid you not, we were landlocked in one specific game where we had 7 yellow dogs back to back to back. And the entire central grid was all yellow tiles. We had a bunch of yellow tiles on our training grids too. And immediately my first thought was, I wish there was a way for you to convert those colors. I wish there was an easier way for you to manage a repetition like this. But then I was playing with my sister-in-law, who is not like as avid as a gamer as I am. And the reason why I mentioned that is because coming from like a more casual gamer, her response to that was, well, you don't get to choose which dogs come into your adoption, right? So you just gotta make do and take care of the dogs that you're given. And I thought that was extremely wholesome and I had absolutely zero argument against that. So what I initially thought was a problem, I feel like if it was an intentional design choice, it was an absolute brilliant design choice, and I feel like it fits perfectly with this particular theme. And if we're addressing like the gameplay part of that, where you're locked into a certain color, honestly, it's not that big of a deal because you just grab more dogs and then stack them up into your grid. And then you're bound to get a bunch of more colors anyway, or you just switch up more training cards. And I feel like the river of training cards and dogs that pop up is so fast that you don't stay locked for too long. Even with that case scenario being like 7 dogs, I feel like that's really not a big of a deal. Now, with all that said, I'm giving Forever Home a 4.4 out of 5, and here's why. The replayability factor here is very high. Your endgame conditions change with each game, and there are so many ways that you can complete your sets, especially in the advanced mode. So this is a game that you're gonna want to play over and over again. In the advanced mode, when you place a dog on one of these symbols, you get to actually move your dogs around, so you gain extra powers, and I highly recommend you playing in the advanced shelter, almost immediately, because it really expands the amount of choices that you get to make for your turn. Despite this being an overall very, very friendly game, I feel like the amount of play interaction is just perfect here because you do have to adapt to the amount of dogs that are popping up, to the training cards that are popping up. You can, if you want to, look at the other player, if you want to play dirty and like take colors that you know that they're going for. But I don't think that's the intention of this game, and even me, being someone who is extremely sabotagical, a sabotagey type player, I didn't really enjoy playing that way anyway, just because I wanted to play more true to the theme, and it's more fun. Lastly, I think Forever Home is a completely unique theme, and the way it combines tile laying and set collection in its own way is very different from other games in that sense. So overall, if you like light tile laying games like Azul, the classic Carcassonne, if you like games where you have some set collection involved in that, then I highly recommend you check out Forever Home. Plus, if you love dogs, you're gonna love this game. Like if you love Dog Park, which was their most recent title, you're absolutely gonna love this one too. All right, everyone, I will leave links to this game. You can pre-order it if you want to down in the description below. I'll leave a link to that. Again, this is not a sponsored video, but I highly recommend you check this one out. If you made it here to the very, very end, it was Luna's birthday yesterday as of the time of this recording, so I'm sure she would, it would make my day. If you just say happy birthday in the comments below, if you made it here to the very end, she would love it. I would appreciate it. And with that said, thank you all so much for watching as always and for being here, and I will see you all in the next one.